Is this what you were setting up when we spoke back in December or January?
No. In December I was working for a different documentary with a different. It was a project actually, still a project, with a different indigenous group that don't use ayahuasca. They live in the coast. They're called the Kogi in Santa Marta. Different project altogether. Also very interesting. Also like a very Colombian example, something that would only happen in Colombia. These guys are like living. They are living right next to the place where the first Spaniards landed in the American continent. So they are like they're in the area that have seen, colonized for the longest of all of the American continent, and yet somehow they managed to like go up these mountains, a very tall sierra, and while keeping contact with people all the time, remain themselves. They suffer through the missionaries, and then they booted them out. And it's the strangest thing in the world, because you're in a modern city, and now people come see you, see people in traditional clothes, barefoot, carrying. They trade, they buy, they sell, they go back to their villages, and the villages are completely traditional, and they're only, walking maybe is 2 or 3 days, but you're really talking about like 40 kilometers maybe distance. Right. From like a city with a harbor and lots of people and an airport and this and that, and then you got like completely traditional villages remain the same.
Any insight into the people that would inform as to how that's been possible? Where so many other cultures,
it's because they've kept they have these people they call mamas, which are both priests and political leaders. And the mamas undergo an extremely rigorous training where they are taken when they're children, and it's decided that they will be that. They are taken by another mama away from their mother, and they are made to live in darkness for 9 years.
I read about this in Wade Davis's book.
That's the Kogi.
Yeah. Okay.
So their leaders are trained from childhood. They are different to everybody else because they've lived a different life to everybody else and they are being taught to learn to work in the spiritual, in the mental. So all the work that they do happens at this level. When these people take over as leaders, they're not like somebody who wins the elections or somebody. They're a different type of person than everybody else. So there is a more, I guess, how to say it, there's a very natural sense of like, well, they are the ones who make decisions because they have been brought up.
Right.
And I think that's really the key to why they've been able to survive this way. They have a specialized group of people who are the keepers of the culture and the knowledge, and these people have also the political and the social power. So they manage the encounter between the community and the West. So some things are accepted and some things are taken in, and some other things are not allowed from the Western world. So,
like what?
Like, well, obviously, machetes and like iron tools, etc. But in many cases, not shoes. Or, the clothes that they wear are still the traditional clothes. Colombia has been very, very surprising for me. I really like it. I think it might be my favorite country in South America.
Really? Wow.
With all its problems, which are huge, and its tensions, which are constant, and it's a place where, also it's a place where I've been afraid.
Really?
Very afraid, even. Yeah, because fucked up things do happen in Colombia.
In your head, or you've like been in like
no, in that place
where,
you don't have to be. I mean, I would say that the thing or one of the things that makes Colombia scary is that you don't have to just be scared of, like, you know, poor people, but the rich people sometimes are even more dangerous. You see what I'm... Usually, like, you know, this feeling of insecurity or whatever, it comes with a certain sense of, like, you know, you're gonna get robbed or somebody, you know, you're talking about, like, some, like, low, you know, criminals from the underground, from the, you know, lower strata that would come to take your things, you know, because otherwise you're not getting any particular problems, you're not bothering anybody, so, you know, you think you're fine. But what you find in Colombia is that very rich people with big houses, and this, you know, and big cars and whatever, also have this sort of, like, private armies, thugs, and behave ruthlessly, in the sense of they take what they want, or they can get offended about something that seems, and then you're all of a sudden in big trouble.
So it's the Godfather, basically. Yeah.
But except they're not, like, you know, it's a strange place. But I would say, together with that, you know, it is the nicest, friendliest, most hospitable people I've met, I think, in Latin America. I mean, it's amazing people, super nice, friendly, lovely people, and it's always like, and the most beautiful country. I mean, it's always together like this in Colombia. It's like the most beautiful with the most horrible, and they're equally most, you know, same high level, and together, always together. So it's like the most amazing view, and at the bottom some, like, trash dump, like, you can't believe, polluted river, horror, and then on top of it the most, you know, and the same, you know, nicest, you know, greatest, friendliest, most beautiful people, and next to them, like, most evil, like, son of a bitches, you know, like, and it's always together at the same time.
To have this from FOXTERRY Productions, because we really appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Nice.
This is from our hometown,
Norway. Stunning.
Yes.
With the Viking.
Yes.
Viking boat cathedral, big risks. Thank you.
Jerónimo, yo personalmente te quiero agradecer por tu gran labor que has hecho con la comunidad, especialmente en YouTube y las otras entidades que tú representas, por esa gran labor informativa, porque nos has dado mucho que aprender y te deseamos lo mejor de todo corazón, y ojalá que será muy pronto la próxima vez que tengamos el honor de estar contigo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a ti, y te digo lo mismo.
Gracias.